Ben says, last week on Hump Day Hangouts, you mentioned that you transitioned from creating custom videos to more universal ones. You also said you now use screenshots to show a business service area versus where they are actually ranking. How has that approach worked for you compared to universal videos? Can you share an example of the sequence you use? Yes. And so, guys, we're going to spend a few minutes on this, and I hope everybody's okay with that. But this is a great question. And this also will demonstrate to everybody on the call now and anybody that watches the replay what the DHA process or part of it is, anyways, at least for the after the initial outreach is sent out from the cold email sequence, which is where you contact business owners for whatever industry you've selected in a particular area. You contact them with cold email. And all you're doing is asking them to confirm their company's contact information for their free listing on whatever your directory is. I don't know if that was a goddamn stink bug or what. They're all over the place in here. Anyway, so it's just asking them to confirm their company's contact information for their free directory listing on your whatever, and I used to say treecarehq.com. When they reply back, they're either going to correct the information, say, no, there's something inaccurate, like phone number needs updated, or that's not my website. And purposefully, we leave the website URL out. It says website, but it's blank. Even if we have it, we leave it out intentionally in our cold email because we want them to reply back and say, all that information is correct, but it's missing my website. Here's my website. In any case, we have a 5-day sequence that goes out where so every other day we send an email for 5 days, and it can go longer if you want, where basically we're asking them to confirm their information. And we remind them every couple of days, hey, just reply back. Let us know, is this correct? And if not, please send us any corrections. And we get quite a high response rate from that. Okay. But once somebody comes into our funnel, our pipeline, which, by the way, when they reply to that cold email sequence, which the cold email sequence is done through Instantly, we manage our cold emails campaigns through Instantly. But there's a webhook that pushes that contact from Instantly when there's a positive reply into the high level account. So the directory CRM account, which is your agency, basically your agency account where you're going to be managing contacts for your directory DHA or directory agency, etc. Anyway, long story short, once the contact comes into there, then there's an automation that when the contact replies, and so that when the webhook is pushes that contact into high level, then there's an automation that it waits a few minutes, and then it sends them an email that says, and an SMS that asks them to confirm, hey, thank you. Well, first it acknowledges that they replied, right? That they replied to the email sequence, says, hey, thanks for confirming your information or whatever. We're going to optimize your directory listing and send it to you for review within the next 2 business days or whatever it is, 2 days, 3 days, whatever it says in the sequence. Okay. Which is an automation. So right after they reply via email, about a minute and a half later, the contact gets a email and a confirmation acknowledging that we received their reply to our email. Okay. And then about 7 minutes later, it sends out an SMS message to that contact to say, by the way, while we're optimizing or publishing your directory listing, how far out do you go out? Do you go out for jobs? In other words, how far out is your service area radius? But we title it or say it a couple different ways. And here, I'm just going to demonstrate this for you guys. I've got one open of a contact that just went through this sequence earlier this week, and I just had a booked sales call or booked call with him yesterday afternoon. It was this gentleman here, right here. There's a booked sales call that I had with that guy right there. So I'm just going to show you the sequence. So this is when he replied to the email, the cold email sequence that's sent through Instantly. This is the reply I got, right? DC cutting is new listing on Tree Carriage needs one thing from you to finish it. So essentially, this is the email that gets sent out after the acknowledgement of the first email goes out to acknowledge that the contact that he replied to the initial outreach. It says, DC tree cutting and land service will have a full page with logo, pics, maps, etc., and a lot more than a measly one-liner. And so basically, it's asking for telling them what they're going to get and everything else. And then it was asking that question is where do they go? How far do they go to get jobs? So what is basically their service area? Okay, so this is him replying. He's saying, hi, Harry, because Harry was a partner of mine initially, but I've actually reworked all this stuff now to where it comes from me instead of from Harry. But anyways, point saying, he replied back and said 60 to 75 miles. Now, that's huge, okay? That's a huge area. But in any case, he replied back. So then once he replies back with that, then that gives us the ability to create the image that I'm going to show to you guys in just a moment. And this gets back to the question that Ben was asking, which is, instead of us doing the whole video sequence now, or the video, which was a custom video originally, then I went to a universal video, and that's still available on my site. Let me just give you a quick example of that. Why am I not logged in? I must not be logged into it. Give me 1 second, guys. I want to show you an example of the universal video, but I found we don't need to use that anymore. It's sorry, it's treecarehq.com, you idiot. I'm going to show you guys an example of the universal welcome video that we were sending people to, but it's not just so you guys have an example of it. But I found this other option is, or this other method is just much more efficient. So let me just go to that, show you this really quickly, and then I'll jump back to what I was saying. Yeah, so go to treecarehq.com/welcome. You can see an example. This is an older video that was created to explain. This is what I call universal welcome video, which is where originally in our kind of directory sequence, when the contact would reply, we would send to the initial outreach. We would send an acknowledgement, but then we would say, we're going to send you the listing for review in 2 or 3 days, whatever it was. And then the assistant, my virtual assistant, would go into that manages the lead processing, would go into the opportunity pipeline, and it would because it was in that field, and then they would go optimize the listing, and then when they were done with it, they would move it into the next column or stage in the pipeline, which would then send out the email that would tell them, hey, your directory listing is ready for review. Here's the link. Go please review it. Let us know if you need any changes. And by the way, here is what we discovered while optimizing your listing. And then that's where the video would go, which was originally was a custom video. I would go out and literally spend 15 minutes recording a video for every single contact. And it worked. It worked really well, but it was also a lot of wasted effort because I had to spend an hour and a half. I'd spend about 90 minutes per day, Monday through Friday, where I would usually record anywhere between 4 to 6 videos per day. And that's how that's how I initially started building this whole process up, guys, was doing a custom video for that specific contact, excuse me. But only about 3 out of every 10 videos that I sent out even got watched, right? And so that was a lot of wasted effort. And so eventually I ended up switching it to doing a universal video where basically something down there that's broken, so I got to fix that. Anyways, I don't use this page anymore anyway. But then what I did was I started sending a custom GIF image where instead of creating a new video for every client, then what we would do is create a custom image of GIF so that it looked like a video that we would embed into the email that we would send to them along with a directory listing that would show their directory listing with a play button in the GIF image. And then so that it would encourage them to click on and that from the delivery email, right? So the listing delivery email would say, here's your delivery, or excuse me, here's your directory listing. Go review it. Let us know if you need any changes. But we identified some problems while optimizing your listing, and we wanted to address that with you. So here, please go check out this video. And it would then, when they click it, it would take them to here where they would explain to them what we do with the directory listings, and then it would go into, by the way, in the email that I just sent you with your listing delivery or your directory delivery, your directory listing, whatever, there's also a link to a Bright Local or what we call as a local search grid report to show how your Google business profile is performing or not performing in Google search for your products and services in your area. And so in this universal video, I would explain what it was, like how to read the reports, what they were looking at, etc., and then direct them to go click on the link that then would take them to their Bright Local report that was already created for them during this process. But again, that was a very long process. And if you guys use any kind of local search grid tracking tools, you know that you pay for credits. So at some point, it started becoming cost prohibitive because I was spending a shit ton of money on local search grid credits for prospects that hadn't spent any money with me, right? And so it was spending a lot of money and a lot of time generating reports and having a team member go create all these reports, and it was cluttering up my Bright Local account with hundreds and hundreds of reports that never they never became contacts or clients. Does that make sense? So the solution then, which I owe this idea to Harry, former partner at TreeCare HQ, was to instead have kind of a more conversational sequence with SMS and email and phone if needed, with the contact between when they first reply to the directory listing cold outreach sequence until we deliver that, so that we have multiple communications with them until we deliver that listing for them to review. But then also now what we do is we, instead of delivering the listing, what we do is tell them that their listing is ready for review and that they need to jump on a call with us. Now, this gets back to the original question, and then I'll show it. And I think it's important for me to go through this so that you guys understand kind of the sequence and how it has evolved to where it is now, which is a much more efficient and scalable way to do the prospecting. Okay, because now we don't even record any videos at all. All we do is create still images of where they claimed. Remember, this guy just said that he replied and he said that we travel 60 to 75 miles from the location. Okay, so then once they reply back and we get that information, then we say, okay, thank you for sending your information in. We're going to get your listing optimized and we're going to send it to you for review. Okay, so then about 2 days later, once the VA has gone out and created, I'll show you the images, right? So this is an example of their directory listing, okay? And so before we deliver this to them, as the VA is optimizing, they go create this image. He told us 65 to 70 miles. So I don't know whether this is 65 or 70 miles, but in any case, the VA creates this image and uploads this to the directory listing. But at the same time, they also create another image. So, and back in here, you're going to see two things: the service territory radius map short link, which is this one here. If we go visit this link, that's just a redirect, a short link that redirects to that image URL that I was just showing you here, right here. Okay. So that's in high level as a custom contact field, a custom field, excuse me. So it's a contact record so that it's tokenized where we can send out, it just pulls that data in whenever we need it to. All right, so then we have the service territory geogrid map short link. So we use LeadSnap for this, but LeadSnap, we can then create the local search grid image in the same shape as the image here. And if you see, it's the exact same size, right? You can see it kind of, just a little bit above Fayetteville from here. And if you see right there, it's just a little bit above Fayetteville. You can see Durham there, all that. So it's the exact same size. And so we add these two short links now to the contact record. And so here's the delivery sequence, guys, and we don't have to do videos anymore. You get it? It's all we do. We optimize the listing, and then there's notes that are added to the contact record by my assistants who are responsible for creating these listings. They add notes to these contact records to let us know, because I'm managing sales again now. Harry is no longer a partner of mine, so I'm taking over sales again for Tree Care HQ, which means I ought to start selling a lot of new clients in Tree Care HQ again. But when I go in to then have the sales conversation, which I don't have to have any conversation with them until they book the call now. Okay, but now when I book the call, I go in and I look at the contact record in high level, and I can see specifically what my assistants found when they were publishing the listing, so that I know what to pitch to them on the conversation. But please understand, I don't even have to pitch, because what we've done, guys, is I've started to develop rapport with the contact from the initial reply or response, from when they reply back to the cold email. We've communicated with them through multiple touches via email and SMS and phone call if needed, up until the directory, to just gather and collect the information from them that we use to create the directory listing. And then we tell them, we're going to deliver your directory listing for review, or prepare it for review in the next 2 to 3 days. And guess what? In 2 to 3 days, we then contact them again. So that we're showing them that we can meet our commitments, and we're delivering something of value, and we're not asking for anything in return. And then so here it is. As promised, for the listing for DC Tree Cutting and Land Service has been completed. We've also added a few things as a thank you. Can you take a few minutes to hop on a call with us at your convenience so we can go over it with you, just to find any mistakes before it goes live for public viewing? Now, it's already live, but they don't need to know that. And I recorded the sales call from yesterday, and I even told the guy right up front, I said, look, it's already live, but nobody really knows about it yet. So just let you know, if you need any changes, we'll make those changes for you. So anyway, but here it is. It just says, look, book a call with us. Now, we've got some automations built in that the customer or the contact is going to do one of two things. They're either going to book the call, right? Because we send an email and an SMS that basically says the same thing. And that's a trigger link. And it says like, hey, go book a call with me. And so they're either going to book the call from that that email and SMS and or SMS, or they're going to reply back and say, well, why do I need a call? And if they reply back and ask a question instead of just booking the call, then it says we identified a problem with your that is preventing you from getting, or while optimizing your listing, we identified a problem that is preventing you from getting jobs in the areas that you claimed you want to get jobs from. We would like to address that with you on the call. When is a good time? So it's a second ask for them to book the call, right? We answer their question. Why do I have to book a call for this delivery? Can't you just send it to me? We address it. By the way, it's the problem agitate solution framework, guys. We identify or introduce the problem, then we want to agitate it. We're getting to the agitation point right now, okay? Because I say there's a problem. We'd like to review that, address that with you on the call. When's a good time? So now they're either going to book the call or they're going to follow up with another question. Well, what is the problem? And if they follow up with what is the problem, then this is where and that's why we have these tokenized in the high level contact record like this, because then the automation sends an SMS to the contact that says, well, here is where you said that you want to get work from, but here is where you're actually getting work from. Only the areas in green. We'd like to address this with you or present some solutions to how you can resolve this on the call. And so then they're going to book the call or they're going to tell us to go shit in our hat. You know what I mean? Like they're either going to ignore us, unsubscribe, or they're going to book the call. It's going to be one of those three things. And if they ignore us, then that's fine. They're just going to go back into another nurture sequence because now they're already contact. We've already delivered something of value. But this works, and this works a hell of a lot more efficiently than either doing a universal video and having to create custom GIFs and all of that other kind of stuff. Now we don't even deliver the listing. And here's the other thing. We can add more value to the listing before we deliver it. So for example, one of the things that I use is rep videos, right? David Sprague's rep videos. And so I've got over 1,200 video credits in David Sprague's rep videos thing. And so we were, for a period of time, adding rep videos to every directory listing that we would add to the directory, which was only direct for contacts that replied back to our cold outreach sequence. But Cecilia, one of our mastermind members, who's amazing, she was actually one that said, well, why don't you just limit the doing rep videos for those that reply and book the call? So then it reduces the workload even more. But then on the call, now you've got something as additional of value that you've added to the directory listing. And my thought was, why not withhold that? That's why you don't see it here, by the way, because you don't see a video here. And on this is because I thought about her idea and I was like, you know what, that's great. We don't need to waste time, waste credits. I pay one of my VAs to produce a rep video. So it is a small expense for me. Instead of doing that for every contact that replies, only do it for those that book the call. But instead of doing it for everyone that books the call, why not use that as, again, a value add-on, a deal sweetener that I can use as another kind of excuse to reach out to them if they don't close after that first call, right? Because then I can go back and add a rep video to their directory listing as long as they have 1 5-star review, right? We can add a rep video to the directory listing, and then I can reach back out to them again, say, hey, listen, we saw that you aren't really doing a good job of promoting or you're not really promoting your 5-star reputation, so we thought we'd like to help you with that too. So here's an example of what we call a review commercial. We've added it to your directory listing free of charge. Check it out, right? Want to see how we can do this more consistently for you? Book a call with me, right? So again, there's a lot of things that can be done here, guys, but it's a very simple sequence. So all I did was send that sequence out and he booked a call. And then I went ahead and scheduled a call with him, and I had the call with him yesterday afternoon, and it was a great call. I didn't close him yet, but I don't have to close. And I tell people right up front, like when we got on the call, I said, listen, this call is so we can, number one, review your directory listing to make sure that everything here is accurate. So I asked him about, like, do you have an arborist on staff? Because if so, we should have arborist consulting right here. And he said, well, I do have an arborist that I can use when I need to, but he doesn't actually work. He's a contractor. And I don't really want to get arborist consulting jobs. So we left it out. But anyways, I tell him right up front, like, we're going to get on the call. We're going to talk about the directory listing, make sure everything is accurate. If there's any changes needed, you can tell them to me on the call. Then I'm going to present to you some issues that I found that are preventing you from getting jobs from the areas that you said you wanted to get jobs from. And then I'm going to present you with some solutions. If it makes sense for us to work together, great. If not, hey, no harm, no foul. It's just a conversation. And I tell them that right up front, guys, to alleviate any fears. How many of you guys have tried to do a sales pitch to a local business for marketing services, and they're defensive from the very start. And that's why I tell these, I remove any resistance right up front because we've already delivered something of value. We've shown that we can meet our commitments by delivering things within timely manners the way that we told them that we were going to. We've built some rapport through that whole process. And now we're getting on a call to make sure that they're happy with their free thing. And then that's when and I tell them right up front, look, second part of this, we're going to review your listing. Then I'm going to show you some problems that I identified that are preventing you from getting work in the areas that you said you want to get work from. And then I'm going to present you with some solutions that we have that are low cost that can help you to resolve some of these issues. Does that sound fair? Would you like to continue this conversation? Always asking questions and nodding your head yes to get yeses out of them while you're on the call, whether they see you on a Zoom call or you're talking to them on the phone. It's sales 101, guys. You ask leading questions where you're going to get a yes answer, nod your head as you're asking them, and you'll get a yes. So now you've got permission to go through this sequence, this basically presentation, and it's just a conversation, guys. It's not really a sales pitch. And that's what we did. I had a 32-minute call with this guy just yesterday from this exact same sequence that I'm describing here. And he didn't close yet, but that's okay because I've built significant rapport with him, right? Goodwill with him. And so the door is wide open. And so that now, like I said, I can go back in. One of the problems that he addressed on the call yesterday was he's saying that it's like pulling teeth to get people to leave his reviews on their Google business profile. So I showed him the review system that we have built. And I showed him one of my clients that I just started applying the review system to about 6 weeks ago, who's seen a bigger jump in review counts in the last month than they have in the last year and a half. And that's because of my review system. And so the point is now I can reach back out to this contact again, and I can add a rep video, David Sprague's rep video. So what I call a review commercial to this, and then reach out to him and said, hey, you remember when we had our call the other day and you were telling me how you're struggling to get reviews? Well, what are you doing to promote the existing reviews that you currently have? And that just starts the whole conversation over again, guys. Because look, this is what we did. We created this review commercial for you, put it on your directory listing. Here's the link. You can promote this on your own website and via your social media, etc. And look, we can do this for you consistently in addition to building more reviews for you, generating more reviews for you from your customers, those past and future customers. And so again, it just gets the conversation started again, guys. That's the hardest part about selling marketing services, in my opinion, to local businesses. Number one, starting the conversation. And then number two, getting them to stop being so goddamn defensive that you can actually convey to them how you can help their business, right? And so the whole process that I'm talking about here through the directory sequence is to alleviate that, to build rapport and build some trust and goodwill. And I don't even really ask for a sale. I just tell them, here's what we have, here's what we found that your business is suffering from, and here's what we have to help solve those problems. And that's it. Does it make sense for us to work together? Here's some examples of what I've done for others. If you'd like to continue working with us, here's the checkout links, or just reach back out to me and I'll send them to you. You see what I'm saying? And it's a very visual thing here, guys, and it's very easy to do, right? And this is all done now through automations, all of this whole sequence. I didn't even chat with this guy ever, not via direct email, SMS, or anything until he booked the appointment, right? So that's the whole point, guys, is getting all of that work done through this automated system so that all I have to do now is get onto the call. And when I get on the call, all I have to do is open up the contact record and pull open. Everything is listed right here, right? The directory listing URL is here. The screenshot images are here. The notes that my team took are over here, right? So any notes that I need to know about would be here. So I'm just pointing it out, saying it's a great system as far as being able to provide consistent leads. Where before we built all of this automation and these additional points of contact and everything between the initial reply and the delivery email. Before that, there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of communication that had to be done manually, whether it was for me or somebody else on my team. But now we've automated just about all of it. And so now, of course, there's going to be times where the conversation throws the automations off, and then it's going to need a human to jump in, and that's fine. But that's significantly reduces the amount of manual effort that goes into getting that appointment booked. Like now it's almost 100% automated, right? And so we can scale our lead gen up and book a lot of appointments very, very quickly because without have and again, guys, how do you get better at selling things? You have more conversations and you try more. You have more at bats, right? You put in more reps. So just book more and more sales calls. And if you have sales calls, sales appointments being booked over and over and over again on an automated fashion, you won't have any choice but to get better. Like you can't help but get better when you have conversations over and over and over again with business owners in whatever selected industry. You will figure out very quickly how to pitch the services. And like I said, it's not even a hard pitch, guys. It's a very simple conversation where I just tell them right up front, look, I'm not going to hard close you. I'm going to show you some problems that we identified. Then I show them how it's hurting. Then that's the agitate. And then I'm going to present some solutions. And I tell them right up front, our solutions are very, very low cost foundational elements that all tree contractors should have. A good website, Google Business Profile that's optimized and is having consistent and regular activity, and reviews, a good number of reviews, and constantly getting and responding to new reviews. That's the foundational elements that you should have in place, and they should be done well. And then on top of that, we can layer on performance-based or results-based marketing services, but you should have the foundation in place first. And I tell the contractor that right on the damn call. And again, like I said, even with the call that I had yesterday, I even told the contractor specifically, I said, listen, my goal here is to sell you some things, some of our services that I know will help your business that have very, very low cost so that it's easy for you to say yes. And then as we establish more of a relationship, then I can provide some additional services that are going to help your business to grow. And that's not necessarily marketing services. It's other things that I can help you do within your organization to help your company grow. Right. And that's the conversation I had. And so, again, it's about being transparent. I think local businesses respond well to transparency at the start of a call like that. Because if you lay it out up front and tell them, like, hey, this is what you can expect, there's not going to be any hard closing tactics at the end of this call. And full transparency, I'm looking to develop a relationship with you so that I can sell you more stuff later. Like, seriously, if you come off that honest about that and that candid with the prospect, it's like a relief to them, right? Because they know where you're coming from. You're not trying to be, uh, sneaky or anything else, right? And so again, I think it's just a great way. It's my preferred way to sell. It's the same way that I sell links to SEOs, right? I tell SEO right on the call, look, no hard sales tactics. I'm just going to show you our process. I think you'll like it. It's very data driven. If it makes sense for us to work together, great. If not, hey, maybe you'll learn something today on today's call. It's just a conversation. And that's it. Shall we proceed? Right? Shall we proceed? They say yes, and we move on. So anyway, it was a great question. I'm glad I got a chance. And that was very timely question because, again, this just demonstrates kind of the process that we go through. That's only a part of the process, the DHA phase 1 program, guys. That is the contact sequence, right? To get people in. And that's the sequence that we use then that takes us to the booked appointment, which is the start of our sales conversation, right? It's not always going to be closed in the first call, and that's fine, right? The point is to develop a relationship to where they now know that they can contact you at any time and they don't feel under pressure when they contact you, that they're going to be sold to, etc. So, all right, moving on. I hope you guys found that useful.